The love and hip-hop universe is in complete disarray, and the internet is on fire. A leaked video of Rasheeda and Mendeecees has surfaced, and the drama is unlike anything we've ever seen. This is why Kirk Frost is furious. Fans are in utter disbelief, wondering what actually transpired behind the scenes between Rasheeda and Mendeecees. Kirk is making a shocking statement that has everyone talking. He is supposedly wondering if Rasheeda's unborn child is even his. As if things couldn't get any messier. Yes, Kirk is apparently demanding answers because he believes there is more to this problem than meets the eye. The industry is frantically trying to keep up with the betrayal, the secrets, and the anger as it all plays out in real time. The true question, though, is how this footage was even released. Who made the leak? And do Kirk's startling assertions have any merit? We're dissecting everything, including the irrational responses and the tea-leaking insiders. Hold on tight, for this scandal is only beginning. Fans can't believe what's happening as the tension between Kirk Frost, Rasheeda, and Mendeecees Harris reaches a boiling point. Kirk's explosive outbursts have always been well known, but this is not the same thing. Social media has been rocked by the leaked footage of Rasheeda and Mendeecees, and Kirk's rage is unavoidable. He was reportedly caught off guard and had no idea that there was ever such a video. But everything changed when he saw it. In a moment, his marriage, his trust, and his whole world fell apart. Kirk was at home when he initially learned about the leaked video, according to people familiar with the matter. He initially dismissed it as just another internet prank. Rasheeda had been the subject of rumors before, but he had learnt to ignore them. When did he see the footage, though? That was another matter. As Kirk's hands clenched into fists and his blood ran cold, he saw that this was more than simply idle conjecture. It was something that could not be disregarded. According to reports, the video shows Rasheeda and Mendeecees in a private environment, laughing, conversing intimately, and acting far too comfortable for Kirk. The intimacy between them is evident even if the video doesn't contain any overtly controversial content. The way they gaze at one another, their body language, and their murmurs are enough to raise suspicions. However, this is where things become even more sinister. Kirk's thoughts began to race as he watched. He began making connections, remembering earlier disputes, Rasheeda's reticent demeanor, and times when he appeared aloof. Is this a real thing? Did she never disclose the full extent of their relationship? The true astonishment came when Kirk began to wonder whether Rasheeda's pregnancy was related to Mendeecees. Yes, it has been stated that Kirk is now persuaded that there is a chance, however remote, that Rasheeda's unborn kid may not be his. And this charge? The internet is going completely crazy over it. While some fans support Kirk and believe his rage is warranted, others believe he is overreacting and allowing his fears and past transgressions to influence his decisions. One thing is certain, though, regardless of one's stance. This is a controversy that nobody anticipated. According to insiders, Kirk confronted Rasheeda right away. His voice trembling with a mixture of anger and incredulity. He rushed into their bedroom as soon as he had taken in what he had just witnessed. He allegedly said, "What the hell is this, Rasheeda?" while holding up his phone and playing the video. Rasheeda was taken by surprise and hardly had time to respond when he asked, "You think I wouldn't find out? You think this wouldn't come back to me?" She was perplexed at first, then protective. She yelled, "What are you even talking about, Kirk?" as she attempted to take his phone to find out what was agitating him. Kirk, however, was having none of it. He shook his head and retreated. "Don't act foolish around me. I need answers now," Kirk asked, but all he received was more annoyance rather than the information he sought. Rasheeda asserted that the video was taken out of context and that she had no idea where it originated. With a tone full of rage, she shot out, "You really think I'd do something like this? After everything we've been through?" Kirk, however, was not persuaded. Worst-case scenarios were already racing through his head, and every second that went by made his rage flare. Then came the words that made all the difference. "Is that baby even mine, Rasheeda?" The room went quiet. Rasheeda's breath caught in her throat as her eyes widened in horror. They were silent for a moment. Like a black cloud, the weight of Kirk's allegation hovered between them, suffocating and unavoidable. Rasheeda stepped back in shock, her hands shaking as she did so. With her voice barely above a breath, she muttered, "Are you serious right now?" Kirk, however, was not about to back down. "Answer the damn question," he snarled, having lost all patience. Rasheeda lost her temper at that point. "How dare you even make that suggestion?" Her face flushed with anger as she screamed. Her voice shook, tears welling up in her eyes, but Kirk remained unmoved. "After everything we've gone through, after all the times you messed up, you have the guts to accuse me." He saw this as a matter of trust, and at this moment, he had none left for her, not because of past transgressions. The internet, however, was already ablaze. In an attempt to ascertain whether there was additional activity between Rasheeda and Mendeecees, fans were analyzing every moment of the released video and looking for hints. While some maintained it was a harmless incident exaggerated, others asserted the body language was evidence of something more serious. Regardless of their stance, the harm had already been done. Because Kirk's suspicions had been sown, there was no going back. The mystery of who released the video in the first place also hung over everything as tensions rose. Because someone out there had purposefully placed this film in the public eye, knowing precisely what it would do while Kirk was busy addressing Rasheeda. Was this a planned setup? A calculated attempt to sabotage Rasheeda and Kirk's relationship from the ground up? Or was there perhaps more to this narrative that was yet unknown? The truth appeared more distant than ever as Kirk and Rasheeda's tense altercation went on. A new bombshell that would rock their world even more was about to be dropped, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse. Rasheeda stood motionless, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. Kirk's comments rang like a thunderclap in her mind. Even so, is that baby mine? She was breathless by the accusation's sheer chutzpah. Now it was about trust, loyalty, and everything they had created together, not just a video. She struggled to control her emotions, and her hands clenched into fists, but the fire in her eyes spoke for itself. "You've lost your damn mind, Kirk," she spit out, her voice shaking with anger. "You really have the audacity to force this on me after everything you've done and every time you've caused me to doubt this marriage." Kirk, however, was having none of it. He had already gotten out of control of his anger. "Rasheeda, this isn't about the past," he said in a harsh voice that sliced through the tension like a dagger. "This is about right now. And right now, I just saw a video of you and Mendeecees looking real damn comfortable, and I'm expected to just ignore it." Rasheeda shook her head incredulously and mocked. "You got that from that? Comfortable? After a few seconds of an out-of-context video, you think I'm cheating? My baby isn't even yours." Exasperated, Kirk wiped his face with his palm. "You are the one with all these secrets, Rasheeda, so don't turn this around on me. You're the one being sucked into these messy situations." The dispute was getting out of hand quickly, and neither of them was giving up. Meanwhile, there was already a buzz on social media. Supporters were split. Some referred to Kirk's charges as rash and repulsive, while others noted that the video did appear dubious. Already popular hashtags included hashtag Kirk exposed, hashtag Rasheeda loyalty test, and hashtag WoleKidit, and the rumors were just growing. However, Kirk and Rasheeda's altercation was far from done behind closed doors. You know what? Rasheeda's eyes were fixed on Kirk's with a blazing intensity, and her voice had become uncannily quiet. "All I have done is support you. And now, when I need your belief in me, you throw this in my face after all your lying, cheating, and humiliation." Kirk's mouth clenched. "Rasheeda, Kirk, you can't turn this around on me. When you are the last one to be doubting anyone's devotion, you don't get to play like a victim." Kirk fell silent, but his eyes remained filled with wrath. The harm was already done, and he wasn't prepared to let up. No matter how strongly Rasheeda rejected it, he was unable to remove the doubt from his mind because he had raised the topic. Then, another shocking revelation came. Kirk's phone buzzed just as they were at the height of their dispute. One more alert. One more message, and his stomach fell when he looked at the television. There was another leaked video, and now, Rasheeda and Mendeecees shared more than a few naive moments. It was worse this time. As Kirk clicked on the link, his whole body tightened. His breathing was erratic and his hands were shaking. His demeanor changed instantly and Rasheeda saw it. She yelled, "What now?" as her patience wore thin. Kirk remained silent. He simply pressed play. Even though the second video was brief, perhaps 30 seconds, it was plenty to send him into a tailspin. In this one, Rasheeda and Mendeecees were seated close to one another in a dimly lit room, whispering to one another with their heads almost touching. Mendeecees then reached out and tucked a stray hair behind Rasheeda's ear, which was the part that made Kirk furious. It was a little gesture, hardly noteworthy. However, it was everything to Kirk. He gripped the phone more tightly. "What on earth is this?" He turned the screen to Rasheeda and hissed. Rasheeda's expression was unclear when her gaze shifted to the video. "Kirk, you really need to calm down. I'm not sure where this is coming from." "Stop worrying. Are you serious?" Now, Kirk's voice could be heard clearly throughout the house. How many more of these videos exist? Rasheeda squeezed the bridge of her nose and let out a quick exhale. "Listen, Kirk, nothing occurred." But Kirk wasn't listening to any of it. "Whatever this is, whatever people are trying to spin, it's not what you think." "Rasheeda, do you believe I am blind?" "You think I'm blind to what's happening. And after seeing this, I'm supposed to think this baby is mine." Then the argument broke out once more. The internet, meanwhile, was exploding. Within minutes of the second video going viral, viewers began analyzing each and every frame. While some insisted it was all a setup, others said it was evidence that Rasheeda and Mendeecees were involved in something. There were several theories. Was this an old video that was making a comeback? Was Rasheeda's reputation being ruined by someone, or was Kirk right on the money? Then there was another twist. Speaking out was an insider who said they were close to Mendeecees. What did they say too? It simply made matters worse. According to the unnamed source, Kirk has every right to be mad. Conversations regarding Rasheeda and Mendeecees being a bit too close have been heard before. For some time now, people in the industry have been making fun of them. The internet went crazy. Who leaked the videos, however, was still the most important question. Who was responsible for this mess? Was someone attempting to create a commotion to get attention? Or was there a more profound, private reason? One name kept coming up, Yandy. Supporters began to speculate that the video may have been leaked by Mendeecees' wife, Yandy Smith. She did, after all, have access. She was right. She also undoubtedly has a habit of getting herself into trouble. While Kirk and Rasheeda's marriage was in danger of collapsing, another storm was building since things would only grow worse if Yandy was involved. However, Kirk was about to experience yet another shock before he could even comprehend everything. Because a new message appeared on his phone just when he believed he had seen the worst of it. What about this one? Everything was going to change with this one. Kirk stared at the screen of his phone, his heart racing. One more alert, one more message, and this time it was something far worse than a simple video. He tapped the screen with shaking hands, displaying a text from an unidentified number. "Call me if you truly want to hear the truth about Rasheeda and Mendeecees. You don't even know half of it." My breath seized in Kirk's throat. "I'll tell you everything." As paranoia took hold, his mind raced, ideas crashing into one another. Who was this? How was his number obtained? What were they aware of? His rage boiled up as he gripped the phone tighter. His demeanor changed instantly, and Rasheeda saw it. "What now, Kirk?" She sounded worn out from the constant barrage of charges and justifications. Kirk's jaw was tightened as he slowly raised his eyes. "I just received a message from someone. They know more about you and Mendeecees," Rasheeda said, her face contorted in annoyance. "More? Are you really still putting up with this?" Kirk asked, ignoring her. He debated with his fingertips hovering over the screen. Should he give a call? What may he hear? Could he bear it? His pride and anger prevented him from following his instincts, which warned him to leave alone. His phone buzzed once more before he could make up his mind. It was a voice note this time. For an instant, his thumb wavered, but the temptation was too great. He hit the play button. Through the speaker came a distorted voice. "Kirk, I tried to warn you earlier, but you ignored me. Rasheeda and Mendeecees have been moving in a weird way for months, and that baby? This isn't just a video. Trust me, you might want to obtain a DNA test." The tension in the room became thick and oppressive. When Rasheeda heard the message, her breath caught and her eyes widened. Kirk's jaw was clenched, his face unreadable. "Kirk, you better not be believing this." Anger, uncertainty, and betrayal were among the many feelings racing through his mind. His thoughts were racing, and he murmured to himself, "Who the hell is this?" Then he suddenly reached for his keys. "Where will you go?" With a panicked tone, Rasheeda yelled after him. At the door, Kirk turned, his expression opaque and icy. To discover the reality, and he was gone in an instant. With white-knuckled focus, he gripped the driving wheel as he drove into Atlanta, the city blurring past him. Everything was replayed in his mind: the voicemail, the videos, the allegations. The answers he sought were urgently needed. Where was he going? Mendeecees. He soon reached a well-known location, Mendeecees' preferred lounge, where he was known to unwind when tensions rose. As soon as he drew up, Kirk got out and rushed inside, and there he was indeed. Mendeecees was drinking a drink while browsing on his phone in a secluded booth. Just as he looked up, he noticed Kirk coming. His brows knitted in perplexity. Kirk wasted no time in saying, "Kirk, what's up, man?" His eyes were flaming as he slammed his hands on the table. "Stop the nonsense, Mendeecees. I want to know immediately what the devil is going on between Rasheeda and you." Unfazed, Mendeecees sat back. "Pardon me." "You listen to me," Kirk said menacingly. "A video was leaked first, and now I'm getting calls from an unknown individual claiming that I need a blood test. Before I go completely crazy, you had better start talking, dude." Mendeecees' face clouded. With a heavy sigh, he put down his drink. "Look, man, I don't know who's feeding you all this mess, but I swear, I ain't got nothing going on with Rasheeda." Kirk wasn't buying it. "Next, describe the videos. Explain why industry people have been saying that you have been too friendly." Mendeecees scratched his temples, clearly frustrated. "Listen to yourself, Kirk, my friend. Do you really believe I would do that behind your back? Do you really think I would jeopardize my reputation and marriage for what? A rumor?" Kirk tightened his hands and gasped for air. "Man, I want to trust you, but I can't deny what I've been hearing and seeing." Mendeecees let out a harsh sigh. "Then maybe you should ask yourself why somebody is trying so hard to push this narrative." Kirk scowled. Mendeecees lowered his voice and leaned forward, asking, "What are you saying?" "Whoever it is that wants to separate you and Rasheeda is doing a very excellent job at it." Kirk's thoughts whirled. Is it possible that this is a setup? Who would go to such lengths, if at all? Then, as if on cue, his phone displayed another message. It was a screenshot this time. His throat tightened each breath. It was an SNS exchange between Yandy Smith and an unidentified sender. Anonymous. The videos have been released. Kirk is going crazy, Yandy. All right. Make sure he continues to doubt everything. Kirk felt his blood run cold. His hands started to shake and he tightened his hold on the phone. "Yandy," he muttered as insight set in. Mendeecees snatched up the phone and looked at the message, asking, "She's behind this?" His face reddened instantly. No way. Kirk's entire world whirled. Around him, everything was collapsing. Yandy, the videos, the messages, the gossip. What's the worst? Rasheeda was unaware that the person pulling the strings might be her own buddy. Kirk turned to Mendeecees, his voice low and menacing, his heart hammering in his ears. "I have to face her right now." Mendeecees got to his feet, his face inscrutable. "I'm coming with you." The two men hurried out after that, prepared to confront the one person that he didn't think would turn on them. What did they not know, though? Yandy wasn't going to give up easily. And the reality. It was more worse than they had anticipated. With their blood boiling and their wits racing, Kirk and Mendeecees ran out of the lounge. Kirk went into a tailspin when he realized that Yandy might be responsible for everything. As he sped towards Yandy's direction, he hardly noticed the sound of the car's engine roaring to life. Mendeecees sat next to him the whole time, anxious but silent, his fists clenched as he dealt with the treachery. Kirk's ideas were very clear, but the drive was a haze. Yandy had a lot of explaining to do if she had been the driving force behind this mayhem, if she had been the one spreading the rumors, disclosing the video, and stoking his suspicions about Rasheeda. When they arrived at Yandy's house, Kirk was already out of the car and strode towards the front door, his eyes blazing. He didn't knock at all. His patience was non-existent as he banged on the door. "Yandy. Open the damn door." There was a moment of silence before the door creaked open over time. Yandy stood there looking confused and annoyed at the same time. Kirk wasted little time in saying, "Kirk, what the hell is wrong with you?" Showing her the leaked messages, he thrust his phone in her face. "You tell me, Yandy, why have you been tampering with my marriage and my life?" Yandy looked at the TV and her eyes slitted. Her face was inscrutable for a time. Then she crossed her arms and laughed a little, without humor. Mendeecees said, "So you finally figured it out?" In a low, menacing voice. "What the devil have you done, Yandy?" Yandy shook her head and let out a breath. Kirk's body stiffened as he said, "You two act like I was wrong for what I did. After you released those rumors about Rasheeda and Mendeecees and published that Dan video, you now have people urging me to get a Dan DNA test for my own child. How on earth is any of that acceptable?" Yandy rolled her eyes and sneered. "Oh, really, Kirk? I just gave you a little prod. Don't pretend you haven't been asking Rasheeda questions for months." Kirk's fists were shaking as he tightened his jaw. "A tiny shove? My marriage was nearly ruined by you." Mendeecees' voice sliced through the tension like a knife. "Why, Yandy?" Yandy looked between them and groaned. "Just tell me why." Then she finally said something. Silence. Because Rasheeda had it coming. Kirk felt sick to his stomach. Mendeecees' eyes grew gloomy. Yandy went on, sounding as if she had practiced this scene 1,000 times. "You believe she is so naive. I merely did what had to be done. Someone had to expose her. You don't think she hasn't been playing her own little games?" The floor seemed to have been torn out from under Kirk. "Tell her?" Yandy turned her head and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" "Kirk, I've seen things and I've known things for a long time. Rasheeda is not the lady you believe her to be." Mendeecees scowled and moved in closer. "You think that video leak was bad. You don't even know the half of what she's been up to." Yandy interrupted him, saying, "Yandy, you better not be lying right now, because if you err, I'm telling the truth." The words struck Kirk like a slap. "And if you don't believe me, perhaps you should check Rasheeda's phone." Examine Rasheeda's phone. Was Yandy playing a bluff? Could it be that he had missed something? There was a brief moment of uncertainty in Kirk's thoughts. The same skepticism that had been building since the rumors began. Since the video. Ever since the charges were made. Rasheeda might have been concealing something. Kirk's eyes were hesitant and Mendeecees saw it. He cautioned, "Man, don't let her mess with your head." Yandy giggled and said, "She's playing you." Kirk's breathing became labored as he asked himself, am I just showing Kirk the truth he doesn't want to see? At his sides, his hands shook. He was at a loss for what to think. Then he turned and stormed out without saying another word. Mendeecees shook his head and followed. "Kirk, you know Yandy has her own agenda, so don't do this, man." Kirk didn't answer. He had already made up his mind. He had to see for himself if there was any possibility that Yandy was telling the truth. And that could only be done in one way. When Kirk arrived home, he discovered Rasheeda scrolling through her phone while seated on the couch. As soon as he entered, she looked up and realized something was off. Kirk did not respond to the question, "Kirk, what happened?" He simply extended his hand. Rasheeda's forehead wrinkled as she said, "Give me your phone." "Pardon me? Give me your phone, Rasheeda," Kirk said again in a chilly tone. "Now." Rasheeda's eyes grew wide with shock. Kirk nodded and asked, "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious." They were silent for a long time. Rasheeda gripped her phone more firmly. She appeared to be prepared to dispute for a second, but then she sighed and gave it to him. As Kirk unlocked it and began scrolling, his heart raced. Communications, emails, pictures. He went through everything looking for evidence that Yandy was lying, anything at all. Then his fingers came to a standstill. A thread of text. With Mendeecees. His throat tightened each breath. His hands trembled. There was no overt evidence of an affair in the text, but there was an unmistakable warmth and closeness in their speech. Messages sent late at night. Inside jokes. Discussions that were overly intimate. Kirk felt sick to his stomach. Was this evidence? Was Yandy correct? His face was blank as he glanced up at Rasheeda. "Describe this." Rasheeda's gaze strayed to the screen, and she let out a loud breath at once. "That's not what you believe it to be, Kirk." Kirk's jaw tightened. "Then, Rasheeda, tell me what it is." "Because if you lie to me now," Rasheeda sprang to her feet, her voice stern. "I don't have to justify our friendship." "Friendship?" Kirk gave a sour chuckle. "You're just buddies, aren't you?" It's hilarious that buddies are messaging at 3 in the morning. Rasheeda's expression stiffened. "Perhaps you don't deserve to be with me if you truly believe that I would betray you in that way." Kirk was struck like a dagger by the words. The room was silent. Mendeecees was correct. Someone wanted to tear them apart, and this was just what they wanted. Was Yandy, though? Or had he been duped by Rasheeda all along? Kirk was no longer sure what to believe. One thing became brutally obvious as he stood there looking at his wife. This was not the end. By no means. The drama between Kirk, Rasheeda, and Mendeecees has suddenly taken a turn that nobody anticipated. The future of their marriage is in jeopardy since Kirk is now doubting everything and Yendi is stirring things up. Does Rasheeda have something to hide? Or is all of this only a perverse manipulation game? Let us know what you think. Does Kirk have a valid reason to be suspicious, or do you believe he is exaggerating? What about Yendi? Was she attempting to cause trouble, or was she revealing the truth? This narrative is far from over, so please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Additionally, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications if you don't want to miss the next exciting update. You won't want to miss what comes next, we assure you.